Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I tried to give you a little more perspective in the background, maybe this looks better, I don't know. As you know, I moved to Norway from Germany recently, and I have been trying to learn the language, and I wanted to share with you today how I did that and how it's going. I thought it might be interesting to some of you because I'm basically teaching myself or asking for help of people that are living here and already knowing the language, so I'm not attending school. I started my learning progress with an app which is called Babbel, and I knew this map from Germany because it was in some commercials, I think. And I actually once took the trial so I can, without paying anything, learn a little of Swedish, but it was like, I don't know, 2014 or something. I just heard of this in the commercial and I was like, hell yeah, in my free time, just learning a new language. Easy. But it wasn't, so, and I didn't really want to pay anything. But now, when I actually need it, I came back to this app and it's actually pretty good, especially if you need to learn this ground practice. You know, they are basically talking the whole time. You hear some sentences and you need to say it again, and they're giving you the opportunity to memorize words and sentences, and they are giving you even stuff to write down. And I wrote down every lection they were giving me, more like how do you spell KJ, or you know, sometimes you say things differently, and they wrote it down and gave you examples and how you would say it in English, for example. And yeah, and since I've been talking English more than German here, I took this subscription I bought there in English, which is very good too, because now I'm improving my English skills of, you know, explanation, and I'm improving my Norwegian, which just started. I think it's better to do it in English because if I need to ask for something, or if I don't really understand something that's coming up in the app, I can just ask it in English and I have it in my brain in English. Because as I figured and as I tried to learn a new language, I found out that it can be very, very frustrating. I almost swore again. I realized that I'm swearing a lot in my videos. I don't know if I should put that down or not. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna go with the flow. If I don't want to swear, I'm just gonna So I can ask better in English, because here with Vic, he's not talking German. I'm just asking it in English, and I see it in English, and I, you know, directly translate it and ask about Norwegian, because it's not standing there in German and then I need to think about it in English and ask about something in Norwegian. You know? It's really, really, really complicated if you have a lot of languages in your head, because so many languages pop up in your head. And I had Spanish for 3 years, and I'm talking English pretty much lately, and German, and I grew up talking Russian, and everything is kind of mixed, and now I'm trying to learn Norwegian. Yeah. So after getting used to the app and how the app rolls, I wanted to do it myself, kind of. And I started to write down English sentences from a book. I just took the sentence, like no matter how dramatic it sounded, and I tried to translate it. And then when I was done translating a couple of sentences, I asked Vic, because of course he's talking Norwegian, and he was helping me with it. He was telling me how to bend the word and how, for example, past tense works and which irregular verbs are there. And of course you can all Google that, but it's tricky. Because if you're not taking lessons with a teacher, you're not having something scheduled, you're not having something, you know, well compilated, and if you're doing it yourself, you don't have, you know, an answer right away. And you get really frustrated really fast, I feel like. Because I get really frustrated, let's say it that way. Let's not, you know, draw it big. I'm getting really frustrated from time to time if I don't understand the logic behind it. Because they are doing sometimes stuff that I don't know of Spanish, English, or German. And I'm just sitting here and being like, why the hell would you bend it like that? Why the hell would you bend nouns, man? What? Therefore, it's good to have a partner that is trying to help you some way. Of course, Vic is not a teacher either, but he's maybe Googling it, or he's maybe able to translate it better, or to explain it better than I would do it for myself, because I get so frustrated and sitting there and be like, my god. I feel like having somebody that is going with you through that whole process of learning a language is really important. I would have lost the motivation pretty quickly, I feel like. Of course, it would be coming back up again at some point, but it's easier to have somebody that's helping you and going through that with you. And then I used another thing of the app, because you have there a vocabulary list, but that's a little weird thing because they don't really use every word you've learned and write it down in an alphabetic system. It's more like they're writing down sentences too, which is kind of good, because you have this vocabulary list down, and sometimes you see how it's bent or how when you are using infinitives, and you just review it one more time. But I feel like in a vocabulary list you would more likely just have one word, and that's translated to the other side into the infinitive. But yeah, it was different that way. So I just wrote down the whole vocabulary I had in that app, and the direct translations, because if you're writing it down, you're memorizing it another way too. Because I just need to have this spontaneous pop-up in my head. I can't stand in front of a person and think about newspaper, what's that word again? It needs to be popping up easily so I won't feel awkward, because as we all know, I'm a very freaking awkward person. So after I wrote down every word, I took every single word and made a sentence. For example, newspaper. And then I, made up a sentence in my head which was more like, did you see this funny article in the newspaper? And then I tried to translate it into a normal sentence. I just tried to translate the words first, and then I tried to make a sentence out of it, and then I asked Vic again. I just feel like it's pretty important just in the beginning for me right now to learn the sentences that I could use on the street. If I spontaneously get into a talk with somebody, and I would just have the normal sentences, not talking about, I don't know, something very specific about biotechnology. Nobody needs that. But just a normal conversation about a fucking blow dryer or something, I try to build up these sentences with the vocabulary I have, and the more sentences I'm trying to write down, the more vocabulary I get, and then I can write another vocabulary list and write new sentences, while normal verbs come back to my mind again. Like see, want, eat. This is how far I have come by now, and I just hope it's gonna continue going okay, and I hope I'm not gonna lose my motivation soon again, and I'm gonna be frustrated again, because it's not that easy to teach yourself, because you realize what kind of lazy person you really are without having that pressure of a test sitting on your neck, because if you're in school, you always know, oh damn, in one day there's this test, so you sit there for fucking 12 hours on one table and you're trying to learn the shit out of it, and that's of course not the best way to learn, of course not. But you know what I mean. All of a sudden you're not lazy anymore because you're scared to have a bad grade. But right here and right now, I don't have this pressure that is going on. This is how I kind of find myself in a new way, in a different way, and see how lazy I am, and or how motivated or enthusiastic I am about learning a language. It's just an interesting thing to see. So yeah, I'm gonna keep you updated. If you want to, just leave a like if you liked it. And yeah, I'm gonna see you in the next video, I guess. Cheerio. I took the vocabulary, and of course I'm not that far yet. But I'm getting somewhere, I hope. Huh. Well, that was weird. I thought there was something on my lens. But it's just the light, I think. Yeah, it is. Okay.